special guest, Monique Hayward. And Miss Monique is a career advisor. She has a book called Get Your Hustle On. It's not just about getting a job, but building a rewarding career. And she offers today's young professionals and college students a roadmap to chart a course for success. And she has what she calls the 5 C's. So, Monique, take your mute off on your computer so we can hear you. There you go. We can see
Yeah,
you.
thank
But
you very much.
okay, thank you for being a guest on Black Authors Matter TV. How are you doing?
Well, thank you for inviting me, and greetings from beautiful Portland, Oregon. All right.
Okay. Yeah, I've never been to Oregon.
Oh, you
But
should
I've
come.
heard
The
it's
Pacific
beautiful. I've
Northwest
heard
is
it's
amazing.
yeah,
Yes,
I've heard
it's
it's
a
beautiful.
beautiful
So
part of the country. You should come. Absolutely.
now, is that where
Yeah.
you're from originally?
No, not at all. I've been living out here for a little over 25 years, actually, but I'm originally from New York City, and I split my
Mhm.
childhood between there and Columbia, South Carolina.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So did your career take you to Oregon?
Yes, it did. So I did my undergrad at the University of Maryland, College Park. I got a journalism degree from there. And then I got my MBA in marketing from Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland. And needless to say, I couldn't hack it in Cleveland. The weather was crazy. You know, the first time that it snowed overnight, 12 inches, I called my mother up and I was like, "You're not going to believe this, but 12 inches of snow just fell out of the sky overnight, and I still have to go to school." So, but anyway, yeah. So I moved west, with nobody but me, and took a job in high technology, and I've been working in high tech ever since. So that's why I'm still here in good old Oregon. Yep.
Okay. You talk about the 5 C's in your
Yes.
book. So tell us about what are the 5 C's, and then tell us about each
Sure.
one of them.
Yeah, no, I could give you a quick overview about Get Your Hustle On. So essentially, the book really is about not just getting a job, and it's about really building a rewarding career. And as I was listening to the show tonight, by the way, nice job. I really appreciated listening to the guests before me, because then I could take notes and I can actually refer back to some of the things that they were talking about.
Okay.
Specifically Ty and Kirk and Avalon too, because everybody is concerned about young people, right?
Yes.
Yes,
Hmm.
and that's really the inspiration for the book. It really was about, helping this next generation of early in career professionals, college students who are just coming out into the job market, really understand how they can position themselves for success in a career. And so I have been, a speaker. I have been an entrepreneur, writer, et cetera. Just someone who people would like to role model in terms of a career and success and that kind of thing. And I found myself having the same conversations over and over and over again with people who would come and seek my advice and counsel. And so finally, I just decided to put it all in a book and have it all in one place. And so the premise of the book really is about what I call the 5 C's, as you suggest. And the first one is competence. That is the foundation. You have nothing if you don't know how to do something, right? So that's
Yeah.
everything that you've got in terms of your skill set, your experience, your knowledge, your expertise, the training, the degrees, like all that stuff that really
I'm writing it
serves
down.
as the foundation for any career that you're trying to build.
Okay.
And then on top of that, what you're trying to layer in, what I call kind of the other planks in the platform, are cachet, that's your personal brand, your communications, that's your storytelling. So you have to be really clear and succinct and concise about who you are and why anybody should care. So how you tell that story to other people. The next C on top of that are connections. And those are the people in your network. And I think a lot of times, especially in these days, a lot of times people who are just coming along their careers rely way too much on virtual communication, social media, and the like, when a lot of connections really do happen in the real world. The current environment notwithstanding, we are in the middle of a pandemic after all, right?
Hmm.
But under normal circumstances, right, the face-to-face communication and the connections that you make with people really are critical to your success in your career. And then finally, on top of that, are your coaches. the people who are really in your corner, who care about you, who tell you when, your stuff is janky and you need to straighten up.
Okay. Those are very good.
So you pull that
Mhm.
all together and you've got the makings of a fantastic direction that you can take your career in.
I like that coaches aren't necessarily going to be your supervisors.
That's right, absolutely. In fact, I encourage people to put together what a lot of people call a personal board of directors, and not necessarily looking to the people who you report to, yes, or the people who have a direct impact on what it is that you're working on in a company or in a nonprofit or wherever you happen to be engaged in your career. So I say that you want to have those close confidants who will really give you good feedback, give you good counsel, give you good advice, because you really do need to hear the truth from people. You really don't need people being your cheerleaders all the time. They need to tell you when you're not necessarily staying on straight and narrow, as they say.
But do you feel that sometimes people, and this is going to sound crazy, but sometimes people take that coaching role so seriously to where the only thing that comes out is criticism, so to speak?
Right. Yeah, I know. There's something to be said for tough love. We all need to hear that, right? But at the same time, yes, people do need encouragement, and they do need feedback on things that are going well. When I'm coaching and providing advice and counsel to my proteges, I do try to lead with the things that are going well, right? The things that they really are showing up and doing really well in terms of their job. Say if it's a presentation that someone gave in front of an executive for the first time, first of all, they don't just show up and do that for the first time without getting a lot of help and coaching along the way. We'll talk about that later. But after the presentation, go through, hey, what were the key points that you hit that were really salient and that really landed with the audience? What were the things that you landed that were going to have impact and result in something that was really going to move the business forward? Those kinds of things. Give people some positive feedback, but then also where you have opportunities for improvement, right? Nothing is ever, I try not to be super negative. I never say to people, that was something that went completely off the rails, unless it did go completely off the rails, right?
Yeah. Normally, if you prepare, it's not going to be completely off the rails.
Right, exactly. And I think,
Mhm.
and one of the things that Kirk was talking about a little while ago was about how little time you really do have to spend to be well prepared, right? I mean, a lot of times people think that there's a task that they have to tackle or a challenge that they have to confront that is so daunting, it's going to take so much time. They're like, no, really, if you just break the task up into bite-sized chunks, if you will, and just invest a little bit of time every day in it, then it's not something that's insurmountable. You absolutely, I'm a firm believer, and you devote time to the things that are important, right? And
Right.
you figure out how to carve out that space in your life to make those things a priority, and then you focus in and you lean in on that for sure.
Right. Now, on your first C, which was competence,
Yeah.
it's going to be different at different levels of a career.
Right.
So what's competent when you first are entering the workforce is going to be different from
Right.
when you're 10 years in. So talk about that a little bit.
Oh, sure, absolutely. In fact, again, I have these conversations with young people all the time who feel like, they don't have a resume that's 3 or 4 pages long, so they feel like they don't have anything to contribute. But no, you absolutely have lots to contribute. By the time, you have, made it through high school, made it through college, and into your first role outside of college after graduating, look at all of the things that you've done over the course of 10 years, if you really think about it, right? Starting with, the jobs that you had when, you were in high school, the internships that you did when you were in college, the volunteer work that you did, the side jobs that you did in the neighborhood. I mean, all of those things that are helping to build that strong foundation, especially early in your career. So I tell people all the time, don't discount that at all. That is really part of the story that you're trying to tell, especially early in your career, because that actually has a way of setting you up for what bigger opportunities you'll be able to take advantage of as you start to build your skill set and your competence in the area or the field that you're really trying to be in.
Okay. And
And cut
when you,
yourself some slack. That's the other thing that young people don't do enough of. Cut yourself some slack. You're learning, you're growing. And you do have to, you know, like Ty and Kirk both said, you got to pay some dues, right? I mean, all of us, you know, we don't start out at the top, right? There
right,
are things that you're going to have to do to build that capability, to build that skill set, to learn and to develop. You don't come out of college knowing exactly how to, you know, run a business. You actually have to be in the business and kind of, you know, pay attention and learn from other people who have been there before you.
right. I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, so I didn't go the corporate route.
Right.
I had one short term job in a large company for 6 months
I know. I
after
love how you
college.
called it the Gwen short term.
It was
Yeah.
short term, 6 months. It was six
Oh
months.
wow, that's really short.
And
term.
after that, I worked for small companies, but I always knew I wanted to be my own boss. So when I was 24, that's when I started my first company. And I haven't worked for anybody since I was 24. So
yeah, at some point when you're an entrepreneur, you're just not employable.
yeah,
Right.
well, I don't think I'm
You get to the point
employable at
where
this point.
you just can't really work. Yeah, you just
No,
can't really work for anybody else but yourself
no,
because
no,
nobody
right.
you can't be bothered with anybody else.
Well, you have to know what you're good at, what your strengths are, and what
Right,
your tolerance levels are too.
right.
You know, I'm very competent, but I don't want to be hired as an employee. So, and I have an opportunity to many times if I wanted to, but I
Right.
just couldn't do it. But
Yeah, I know the
um,
feeling. I've actually done both. I have a parallel corporate career as a marketing
okay,
executive, and I'm an entrepreneur, a speaker, and you know, a leader in a lot of different capacities. So yeah, it's crazy town when you're trying to do all that.
but I've hired a lot of young people over the years,
Oh yeah, so
and
have I.
so what I found is the work ethic is not what it was when I
Yeah,
was a young
that's the title of
person.
my book. Get your hustle
Yeah,
on. What
yeah.
happened to the hustle?
Well,
Right?
sometimes
You
I think
know,
people think that hustle really involves their actual job. Hustle is their side hustle. You know,
Right.
people don't think of
Yeah.
the hustle as what they're actually doing, whatever their actual career is.
Yeah, well, that's
mm,
the thing, right? We have to change that mindset. You know, you should be hustling in your career, right?
right,
Because I mean, for most people, their passion may not necessarily be their paycheck,
right,
right?
right.
So,
You have
so
to be
you
able to
really
make a
you have
living.
to be, yeah, you got to be good at what you know how to do, right? I mean,
Right.
I was a basketball player, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I played basketball for 20 years, but I wasn't in the WNBA because I kind of figured that I wasn't going to be that good enough to go play hoops in the pros, right? So in that from that perspective, right? My passion, basketball, was not going to be my paycheck. I knew that, right?
Mm.
So get focused on those things that you really are good at, you know how to do, that people will pay you money for, that you show up for, that people will say, hey, this is what Monique Hayward is bringing to the party. Okay, this, and this, let's get it done, right? Let's get it done.
Mm. I'm not sure if high school conveys this anymore, but I do want young people to realize that they can't just show up to get
Right,
paid. They
right,
have to be adding something to
right.
whoever they're working for, not creating problems, but they
Yes,
need to be an asset to the
right,
business in
right.
order to justify them being paid. Otherwise, they're a liability,
Well,
and
yeah,
people
yeah,
try
no,
to get rid of liabilities. So,
yes, you're making a great point, Gwen. And one of the points that I address in the book is around this very topic. And it's about, you know, what organizations and even hiring managers are looking for when it comes to talent. And I tell, again, the people who I coach through the process all the time that hiring managers care about three things. They care about fit, they care about form, they care about function. Are
Mhm.
you going to be a good fit on my team? Can you
okay,
perform the job that I've asked you to do? Do you bring the
okay,
skills? Do you bring the qualifications? Do you all that? And then can you, fit, form, and function. Can you function on this team without any drama? Right?
Okay.
Because the last thing that I need is to be chasing you down about stuff, because a lot of times what happens, people, they don't understand their boundaries and they get out into the quicksand and they're up to here in the quicksand.
Yes.
They're like, well, it's a little late for me to help you if you're up to here in quicksand.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So fit, form, and function. Yes. Please
have
keep those
some
3 things in
questions.
mind. Young people, if you are listening to this recording, if you don't remember anything else, fit, form, and function.
Fit, form, and function. We actually have some questions from social media world.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Here's one from Alan Cheeseman. He says the challenge young people face today is worry about acceptance and criticism from others, especially on social media. And this often impacts their self-esteem and confidence. He wanted to know your thoughts on that.
Sure. Yeah. In this world, it can be challenging to deal with, criticism from, all aspects of, the places that it comes. Yeah. Online, in person, whatever. I think that, I think it goes back to, a couple of points that the previous authors made as well, that, it starts with you and where you are in terms of being authentic and what your what your character, your values, your approach to your life, the things that are important to you, you start there. And if you have, resilience, if you have fortitude, if you have grit, if you have, the things that, are not just about, how you get by every day, but the things that, really motivate you, whether that's spiritually, whether that's, in some other realm, whether it's, some other kind of outlet, you have to have, I think a good personal foundation that helps with, getting you to really be self-motivated and assured of who you are. That's the first thing. And then I think the other thing too, surround yourself with people who are positive and who give you good energy. Yes. And 86 the people who don't give you good energy, right? And I know it can be hard to ignore, the criticisms and to deal with the negativity. But I think also there's learning in that as well. I mean, I think a lot of times, if you take a look at, some of the criticism that's coming, I think you just kind of look at it and say, hey, is this something I can learn from? Is this something that I'm really invested in changing? Is this something that is really going to make a difference in what I'm trying to do, my goals, my objectives, the things that I'm trying to do in my life and how I'm trying to help other people and how I'm trying to, make a difference in this world? Then take the criticism for what it is an opportunity to learn. And then everything else, you just got to figure out how to block that out and keep moving.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And social media is, I think people, especially young people, rely so much on their positioning or their popularity. Yeah. And what I had to tell my daughter was, who's 24, one, those people don't know you.
Exactly.
Those people don't know you.
Right.
They may see you on social media, but they don't know you. And I think it's good to take, don't be so swept up in it. I mean, don't, and it's probably difficult now, but take a hiatus, even if it's 2 hours a day, just get off of it some, because it can be overwhelming. And it can come at people so fast, especially when it's something negative. It can
don't stay glued to it. I mean, this is, I mean, it's not healthy, right? That's the first thing. Have some real world outlets. Like I said, when it comes to connections, right? The
you were talking about that.
You make in the real world are the ones that are really going to be the ones that are those are going to be the people who you come back to time and time again.
Right. And it's challenging now with COVID to even, really make connections, personal connections now.
Yes.
But
but we will get back to a new normal.
Yes, we all are.
And I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to actually get dressed and put on some makeup. Thank you.
Well, I have to do that too, but that's my opportunity as well.
I know, right?
Because
That's
if you get too far gone, you don't want to be too far gone.
Right? You go, Rhonda.
Forget.
No, you make it happen, girl.
And then when you wear a mask, you can't wear lipstick. So
I know, exactly. Crazy.
It's my lipstick. That's why I try to wear it on the show.
yeah, I do too. That's
the
really because you can't wear it when you go out now
Right.
because of the mask. But I still try to do this part.
Oh, you try.
But it's not the
You
same.
get like a little Catwoman action going.
It's not the same.
Well, you have another statement here from Tanya Ramey. She said, Cachet, your personal brand. I never would have put that together. I think the 5 C's would also serve an older demographic who is seeking a career pivot, a second career, if you will, after retirement, for example.
Yes, exactly. That's a really good point. Yeah, the concepts are applicable at various stages of your career, whether you're just starting out or whether you're mid-career professional, or you're thinking about, the twilight, if you will, of your career, and maybe thinking about not necessarily going into retirement, right? I mean, my retirement is not going to be me just, sitting back, kicking up my heels and, drinking margaritas, right?
That's what I wanted to do. It didn't work out that way.
Yeah, I know, right? Because I mean, a lot of us, because we have our health and and we have our minds, we still want to contribute. And yes, these are the kinds of things that you should be working on throughout your career. You should be building your personal brand. You should be building strong networks, especially when you're toward the end of your career and thinking about what does that next step look like. You're going to bring all of that with you into the next phase. So absolutely, yeah.
I had to learn that myself, and I noticed that a number of people who I was in the military with did the same.
Yeah.
I did 23 years in the Army as a senior NCO, a senior non-commissioned officer. So I was a leader.
Yes.
And when I left the Army, at first I was saying, okay, I'm not going to work. I'm just going to work on my business. But then after a couple of years, I decided to go back to work. I got a great position. I have a great job. I'm working for the federal government.
Right.
But I had to learn. I mean, even though I'm still a leader and I can still use my leader attributes, I still had to put myself in a position to where I had to learn, because now I'm in an entirely different agency.
Exactly.
And so I had to learn. I couldn't come with that attitude that I know everything,
Yeah.
and I can't go in there yelling at people like I did when I was in the Army. I had to I had to have a whole new mindset, basically.
Right, exactly. Because there's a fine line between being awesome and being jackass, right? and you, Rhonda, you want to stay on this side of awesome, right? And so, yeah, and a lot of people who have had that long military career come into, corporate America, or come into, nonprofits or government agencies, and they bring that with them, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, you need to back it up, right? Yes, reorient. Because, yeah, I mean, and good for you for recognizing that and being open to possibility, being open to feedback. That puts you in the right, place and space to be able to, be a stronger leader as a result, right? Absolutely. Which is great, definitely.
Yeah. One thing I think a lot of people, young people especially, but even older people, I think they discount is one attribute that probably is more important than most of them. And that's dependability.
Yeah.
Because if you are dependable as an employee or at whatever level, entry level, mid-level, top level, if you are dependable, meaning you're there at the time you're supposed to be, your word counts. When you say you're going to do something, you do it. Or if you're unable to do it, you inform the person. Dependability can make up for even competence sometimes in some situations.
Well, yeah, I was about to say the same thing, right? I think both of you actually talked about when we first started having this conversation. And, 80% of life is just showing up. Right? Just show up. Yeah, and if you show up and you're enthusiastic, you want to learn, you've got passion, you have, you have the willingness to learn. You're not a know-it-all, you're a learn-it-all, right? People respond to that. And even if you don't have all the skills, if you don't have all the confidence, then people are willing to work with you to help you get there, because you are dependable, because you are reliable, because you have demonstrated some interest in what it is that we're trying to do to run this business, run this nonprofit, get this event going, whatever it is, right?
Right. So if any young people, and by young I mean, teens, early 20s, if you're on listening to this
Yep,
show,
I'm glad you clarified that.
yeah, because
Well,
we're
yeah,
all young in our own way, but just getting started. Be dependable. That was one of the, and like I said, I've hired a lot of young people over the years, high schoolers, college students. That's the one thing that was missing for most of them.
Yeah.
If you're not dependable, I can't use you because I don't know if you're going to even be here. so,
Right.
so
You.
that's the one. And if you are dependable, like you said, and some of your skills need work, I'm willing to work. Most people are willing to work with someone who's dependable to train them and teach them. But it starts with dependability.
Well, the other part about being dependable is that often the organization that you work for may spend money on you to get extra training.
Yep.
They may pay for college.
Right.
They may send you on different temporary duties. They're putting a lot of money into you. They want to know that they're going to get a return on investment. So it's very important to be dependable, or else you're just wasting money.
Right, exactly. I got to do a lot of very interesting and cool things early in my career as a result of the investments that my companies made in me. Simply, like you said, showing up and being interested, being dependable, being accountable, being reliable. And I got to travel the world. I got to work on a whole lot of interesting projects. I got to meet a lot of great people. And and I've built a fantastic career as a result. I mean, you don't ascend to these levels in Fortune 100 companies by not having those things as part of your portfolio.
Right. So Monique,
we're
getting close to that time.
This has been so much fun.
Yeah, it is. The whole night ended up being about careers.
Right? Aren't you supposed to be popping some champagne or something? Come on, girl.
It's amazing. The whole night ended up being about something similar, which we didn't know in the beginning.
I didn't even planned it that way.
We didn't. It just happened that way.
You're supposed to take credit for that.
No, I don't. I believe in serendipity or whatever. I believe in things happen for a reason. That's the way it was supposed to be. So,
as I was watching earlier, like I said, I noticed the common thread among all of us, and I thought, wow, what a brilliant strategy.
It just happened. That's what happens on Black Authors Matter TV. It just is the energy, the synergy, it all works together. So tell everybody how they can get your book and how they can find out more about you.
Yes, you can find out more about me at MoniqueHayward.com. And my book is available at Amazon.com as well as on my website. And then you can find me on social media everywhere. So if you go to MoniqueHayward.com, I've got links to everything: YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everything. So yeah, I'm trying to be famous, so I'm out there.
Okay. Well, we really enjoyed having you. And one of these days I may make it to Oregon. I've heard it's beautiful. I will do that. And so we're going to say good night to you, Monique, and then we're going to have a few closing remarks for our guests, our audience.
Good night.
Thank you.
Remember the line, Rhonda.
Okay, everybody. So that's our segment for August 11th. So our final